without even doing it, do you have this on canvas?
Not yet.
Okay, so you're gonna put that on another day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I just want you to say them quick, and I don't want you to do the problem yet. I just want to say what you would do to very first in each of these equations. The first thing you would do. Okay, so we're just going to start. Look at the questions. We're just going to do it really quick. We're going to go around the room and do it fast. Gannon, what would you do on number 1, very first?
Subtract negative 18, 7.
Okay, so here's the big question. What should you ask yourself? Because that probably isn't the right answer. You want to get the what by itself? The variable. You want to write that in your notes, by the way. The ultimate goal is to get the variable by itself. Look at what is on the same side of the variable and figure out how to get rid of it. That's the key. Look at what's on the same side of the variable, figure out how to get rid of it. So now saying that, Gannon, what should I do to both sides?
Add them.
Add what?
7.
7. That's all I wanted you to say. Add 7. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
We're not going to do it right now. We're going to come back and do it. What's the first thing you do? Is it Riddick? Riddick and Ryder sit in the exact same spot in the 2 classes. It drives me crazy. All right, Ryder, what should I do on number 2? First thing.
You would do the correct. You would
Right. So a positive times a negative is a
negative.
negative 20. I'd write s minus 20, and then I'm going to do what to both sides?
20 plus negative.
I'm going to add 20. Yep, I'm going to add 20 because it was already negative. Okay, so I'm going to add 20. Okay, number 3 looks difficult, but really isn't any more difficult than the other ones. So Tristan, what would I do on number 3?
You would add 2 cents.
No, because is it on the same side of the variable? No, what's on the same side of the variable?
3/4.
I'm going to subtract 3/4. Now, it's a little more complicated when we actually do it, but that's what I would do, right? I would subtract 3/4. Okay, number, let's see, 4. You're up, Brian.
It's a fraction, so you'd have to divide it by.
Close. We are dividing, so instead of divide, we're going to have to
Times
multiply by, what did you say, Brian? You were right.
-9.
-9. Okay, multiply by -9. Recognize whether you're dividing or timesing and then do the opposite, right? Or if you're adding or subtracting, do the opposite. Is that not working?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to record you the whole time?
No. I just want to make sure.
So they know what we're talking about, right?
Okay, good. All right, Logan, go ahead. What should I do on number 5? First thing. Get the 2 to the other side. I'd add 2, right? Very good, Logan. That's exactly what we'd do. We'd add 2. Okay, number 6. What would we do? Callie, first thing.
-2.
Very good. Nice job. You have to get rid of the -3 and the 2, but I would get rid of the negative. I'd get rid of the 2 first by subtracting 2. Good job. Okay. Next one, Canyon. This is a hard one. 7.
You're gonna do 3 times 4.
Good. You're going to times by 3. Very good. Because the first thing you want to do is get rid of the division line. Remember, you're working backwards. So I'm going to multiply by 3 to get rid of it. Multiply both sides by 3. Nice job, Canyon. That was a hard one. Number 8. This one's hard too, Nick. What do you think? What would I do first thing?
-2W.
Very good. You guys are good. You guys are going to kick butt on this test. So yeah, I would -2W first. I got to get all the W's on one what? Side. That's something I might write in my notes, by the way. If variables are on both sides of the equation, add or subtract to get the variables on the same side of the equation. Okay? If variables are on both sides, add or subtract to get them on one side. Okay? All right, flip it over. We're on 9. Is it Gianna?
Yeah.
Gianna, what would I do on 9? First thing. Again, kind of hard on this one.
Combine the negative.
Combine the like terms. Very good. So if you, and this is something else I'd write in my notes. It goes with what we just wrote. If you have variables on the same side of the equation, add the like terms before you do anything else, okay? You might write that in your notes. If you have variables on the same side of the equation, add like terms before you do anything else. So that's why Gianna said that we're going to take negative 2 minus 10, and we're going to write negative what? What's negative 2 minus 10? Negative 12. Think about the number line, right? If the signs are the same, that's just telling you the direction. So I'm going to go negative 2 on the number line, and I'm going negative 10 more. Where am I at? Negative 12. You with me on that? Just think about moving on the number line. If it's both in the same direction, that's all it's telling you. All right, next one, number 10. Even more difficult. Dakota, what will we do on number 10? I will eventually, but what's the very first thing I'm going to do? You're right, but I want to do something before that. What would I do before that? Huh? Distribute. Very good. I'm going to distribute the negative 8 in, and don't forget to distribute the negative 8 to the negative 10. And then I'm also going to distribute the negative all the way to the negative 3 on the other side. Okay, negative times a negative there. So that's what we're going to do first on 10. Okay, Griffin, she kind of helped you on that. What will I do on 11?
Fine.
Distribute again, right? I'm going to distribute what on the left?
The 4.
The negative 4. Don't forget to distribute the sign with it. Okay? Both the negative and the 4 through. And then on the right, what am I going to distribute?
6.
The 6 through. Very good. Okay. Number 12. Okay? Tell me how I can write an equation that represents what's happening. This one is really, really, really hard. Okay, so is it Brielle or Braille? Braley. I was close. All right, so Braley, this one is kind of hard. I'm going to actually kind of show this one on the board. But let's see if you can think through it. What equation could I write and then solve it? So how do I write an equation out of that word problem? You work at a carnival for 7.5 hours. You earn $71.25. How much are you earning per hour?
You gotta do.
Divide it.
Okay, so this is the big question. You have to think. If you're making a certain amount of dollars per hour, right, and you're working a certain number of hours, should I add, subtract, multiply, or divide the hours and the time you work? Think about this.
You would divide.
Well, I'm going to eventually divide, but how do I set up my equation? What should my equation say?
It should be 7.5
7.5, what?
equals
Equals
71.25,
right? But where should I put the x? Should I add, subtract, or multiply the x to 7.5?
You would subtract.
It is. It's going to put an x right next to it because you're multiplying. Think about that. If you're getting paid, everybody do this just kind of in your head, really quick, just to think. If you're getting paid $10 an hour, we'll make it really easy, okay? And you work 3 hours, how much money did you make?
30.
How did you get 30?
30 times 10.
You multiplied it, didn't you? Okay, so you do it automatically in your head, you know. You even do this like when you're working, like seriously, like you got a job that's paying $10 an hour, and you're like, all right, if I work 3 hours, I'll make $30 today, right? You kind of do that in your head. So you automatically multiply it, but yet you don't think about that as you're writing the equation. The equation, just like Callie said, I have to multiply. This represents what? What does the 7.5 represent? That's the hours. And what does this represent? This represents what we call a rate. It's the amount of money you make per hour, right? Your hourly rate. So if you make $10 an hour, that's what would go there. All right, so now how do I solve it? That's what we're going to do next, and you guys all said divide, right? And that's going to be right. But I want to write the equation before I try to solve it. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Write the equation before you solve it. Think what it means. Okay, go back over here again, and this is a hard one. 13, what equation could I write? So everybody read it, and let's see if we can help him out here, because this is a hard one, really hard one. Again, we want to write an equation. The admission fee to an amusement park is $28. It costs an additional P dollars, an additional, that's giving you a hint, by the way, what you should do. P dollars to rent a locker to hold your belongings. The total cost for 5 people to enter the amusement park and rent a locker is $180. How much does it cost for 1 person to rent a locker? So what do you think I should put as some part of my equation here?
180.
So 180, is that what it's gonna equal, or is that what? That's what it's gonna equal eventually, so that's good. Okay, we'll let Gannon just do the first part. Okay, Ryder. What should I put on the other side? Give me something else I should put on the other side.
P.
P, and what am I gonna do with the P? I'm gonna add something to the P. What am I adding to the P?
24.
20, there's no 24 on there.
28.
28, okay. So it's $28 plus P, right? Okay, so that's good. Now, here's the tricky part. How do I include the 5? How do I include the 5? What do you think, Dakota? Times this by 5. It's a lot like this one, right? This is the rate to get in. 28 plus P is the rate to get in. And I've got to times it by, instead of hours, the number of what? People. So this represents number of people. And this represents our rate per person. Okay, so that's our rate. So much like that's hour and rate, this is number of people and rate. So very similar, okay? All right, we'll get back and we'll solve that later. I just wanted to write the equation. Okay, 14. Okay, 14. I don't know where we're at. I think we're on Tristan. Tristan, what will I do first on 14?
You'll add 20 and then minus.
Okay, there's a big problem. What should you focus on first? Focus on the variable first. Okay? Now, by the way, you can add 20. It's not going to be wrong. But it won't get you anywhere. You want all the C's on what? One side. So I'm going to subtract what? 4C. I'm going to subtract 4C on that one. Now, notice what will happen on that one.
0.
Oh, it's going to go away. Will you have any C's left? No. So what does that automatically tell you if all the C's disappear? It's either no solution or what? Or all reals. Okay, which is, I guess, on this one, what do they call that? Infinitely many, right? So it's either infinitely many or it's no solution. We'll get to it and we'll explain it better, okay? But it's one of those two because the C disappeared. Everybody with me on that? If the variable disappears, it has to be one of the two things. Either it's infinite solutions or it's no solution. So we know that on 14 already. It's one of those two answers. Okay? Look at number 15. What will I do on that, Brian? First thing, just the first thing on 15. What's the first thing you would do? You could, by the way, what he said. You just have to divide each term on the right. But most people would do what with that parenthesis? What would you do, Canyon?
I would do 3n plus 3, oh, never mind.
Okay, what would you do, Dakota?
Sorry.
Distribute the what? The negative and the 7, right? Distribute the negative and the 7. You've got to clear that parenthesis and then go about solving it. And we'll do that when we get there, okay? All right, here we go. Let's try doing a few of these then. I'm going to pull this so that I got some room here. And then I'll leave those other two equations on there for later. Okay, let's go back and do them. Okay, number 1. I'm going to let you do it on your own. We already said what we should do first, so everybody do it on your own. Hurry, do it. And if you need a calculator, go grab one. Go grab one, hurry quick. Run fast, get a calculator, run. Like the wind bullseye. Never mind, you guys don't watch like Disney anymore, you're too old.
Well, I got it.
I watched that show 1,500 times at least when my
Like the
oldest.
wind bullseye.
Hey, that's off of Toy Story.
I mean, yeah, it is. And by the way, bullseye, how fast can a little TV thing run? Apparently awfully fast. So. Because I'm like, even if that toy was legit, could be animated and run, it couldn't run that fast. But whatever. So, all right, here we go. Number 1. We know what we're going to do because we were already told, Gannon told us. And we're just going to do it. Rael, what did you get for an answer then? Negative 11. So on a calculator, it's smart to use a calculator on these because I'm going to add 7 there. There's 2 ways to think of this. There's one is, hey, I got different signs, so I'm gonna subtract and keep the sign of the one furthest from 0. That's one way to think. Another way to think is just a number line. I'm at negative 18, and I'm coming back 7 in a positive direction. Where will I end up? Either way you think of that, you're gonna get negative 11. Now, if you have a hard time thinking of all that, just use a what? Calculator. You're fine, you can use a calculator, okay? Number 2, we first distribute the positive times the negative, which gives us a negative. And then remember, Ryder told us what should we do right after we distribute that and make it a negative 20. We should what? What should we do? Add it. Remember, we're subtracting, we're going to add it. Okay, add 20 to the other side. Everybody do that. If you need a calculator, do it. Callie, what'd you get on number 2?
-1.
Okay, you have negative 19. Think about this again.
No, it's just 1.
Plus 20 is going to be just 1. By the way, that's how people miss these. Notice the multiple choice answers. I actually hate multiple choice tests when I was in school. When I was in college, our teachers would give us multiple choice tests. And you know why I hated them? Because I always doubted myself. I'd get an answer and then I'm like, wait, is it positive or negative? Oh, I better check that. And it got me so thrown off. I was much better if I could just do the problem. Because I usually got it right. But then when I look at the answer, I'm like, oh no, it's a positive one or negative one, right? So sometimes the multiple choice doesn't help you. It actually makes it worse. So be careful there. Don't second guess yourself. Do your math. Think about that. You're negative in a 19 in a negative direction, but you're coming back 20. That's going to put you in a positive 1. Okay? All right, next one. This one I want to do the whole thing, so I'm going to show you the whole problem. This one's kind of hard. What makes this one hard? The fraction does, and it does make it hard. You have to remember stuff about fractions in and of themselves. Now, what we do isn't all that hard. Brian told us, what should we do? Just minus what? 3/4. It's adding to the y, so I just need to what? Subtract it. That's easy. But I also have to subtract it over here. And this is where it gets a little bit hard. I have to subtract these two values. Now you can do that on the calculator, and I want to show you how to do that on your calculator. So everybody get your calculator out so you know how to do this. There's an ABC key.
Yeah.
Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is how I want to put in my fraction. I want to hit the negative key, not the minus key, the negative key. And that is at the very bottom of the calculator on the right, okay? So I want to hit that negative key, then I want to hit 3, then hit the ABC key. And it should look kind of like that, I think, or maybe it's like this. I can't remember which direction it goes. Which way does it go, like this? Okay.
Hey, you have it backwards. That shouldn't be a -3. That should be a plus.
No, it shouldn't. Nope, I want a
I thought you were
negative.
just minus it.
I'm minusing 3/4.
Yeah.
So that should be a what?
It should be D.
Negative.
It's the opposite of adding.
Here was add, I minus to both sides.
So you just take the minus and negative with you.
I want the negative right there, right? So I'm gonna go -3, and then what? Force after I hit that ABC key. Now, do what Danny's saying. What should I do next? Don't hit the negative key, hit the what? Minus. I think maybe that was what Danny was saying. Now I want to hit that minus key, and then hit what? 2, ABC, 7. Then hit equals. Okay, everybody do that. And what'd you get on your calculator? -1 and 1/28, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, and it looks kind of like that, right?
Plus 13.
Okay, now, all of a sudden, you look at your answers, and is that one of the answers?
No.
People freak out because that's not one of the answers. How do I turn it into an improper
You
fraction
just
on your
gotta
calculator?
add 28.
Wait. There's a way to do this on your calculator, though.
Oh, nice.
Hit second, and then hit the ABC key, and then hit enter. What did it do? It changed this into a improper fraction, and it gives you -29 over what? 28. That's the same thing. Now, by the way, you can write it out, -1 and 1/28. multiply and add, so negative 28 plus one more is negative 29 over 28. So you could multiply, add, it stays negative direction, and that's it. But that's kind of hard to do, and a lot of kids mess that up because you're thinking this is a minus. So see a lot of kids multiply and then subtract, when really this is just a direction. So it's multiply and add every time. Okay, that's the tricky part. But if you use your calculator correctly and hit second ABC key, it'll turn it into a what? It'll turn it into an improper fraction, which is what our answers were, right? So just because you don't get the answer when you first punch it into your calculator, should you give up and just say, I don't know the answer, I'm just gonna guess?
No.
Don't do that. Half of you are in this class, honestly, because that's what you do. You give up too easy. Okay? Honestly, that's why you're in here. It's not that you really can't do math. You can do math. You just give up too easy. When the calculator says negative 1 and 128, then you don't see the answer, you're like, and you just mark something. Well, don't do that. Put it in the form that they have on the test. That's what I said. Multiple choice is harder. Would I mark this wrong? This right here, would I mark that wrong if I was doing the test? No. But because of multiple choice, it's not one of the answers. So really, multiple choice actually makes it harder. I've always thought that was interesting that people think, oh, it's a multiple choice test, it's easy. Actually, that makes it harder. Because you have to match the answer. You see what I mean? You have to match it to be negative 29/28. Okay, any questions on that one before we go? That's one of the hardest ones on the test. Okay, and you gotta remember how to use that ABC key. So you might put that in your notes, by the way, so you're ready for the test. The ABC key is how you punch in fractions, and second ABC turns it into a what? Improper fraction. It'll change it from a mixed number to an improper fraction. ABC key and second ABC key. Everybody got it?
Yep.
Okay, those are two keys on your calculator that'll be easy to do. Okay, number 4 is pretty easy. I'm gonna let you kind of do this one on your own. What's key though? Multiply it by a what?
9.
Not just a 9.
Negative 9.
That's where people will mess up, right? You've got to multiply by the negative also. What's a negative divided by a negative?
Positive.
See, that's going to make the x positive. You've got to get the x alone and positive. Okay, so what do you get on 4? Griffin, what'd you get?
Negative 63.
Negative 63. See how 63 is an answer? They're trying to trick you, right? You've got to make sure you have that negative sign with it. Most of these are going to be missed because you're second guessing yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Go with exactly what you know to be right. All right, number 5. Logan, what will I get on this one? This is 2 steps. I first add 2 because Logan told us we were going to add 2. But then I got to what? I got to make the W positive. How do I make the W positive?
You divide it to the other.
I either divide by a -1 or I multiply by a what? -1. It doesn't matter which one you do, both sides. Do that to both sides. So once I add 2, that's going to make 42 plus 2 is what? What's 42 plus 2? 44, and then I got to make it what? Negative, because I'm going to have a positive times a negative, or a positive divided by a -1, depending on whether you multiply or divide by a -1. I don't care which one you do. But your answer is negative what? 44. That should be D. Next one. Again, 2 steps, but not hard 2 steps, right? First step is what, Callie?
-2.
-2 to the other side, that's going to give you what? 1 minus 2 is what?
-1.
-1 equals. Now I have h over -3. Canyon, what should I do next?
You
Gotta
can
get rid of
do
the
three.
-3. How do I do it?
You can do 3 times.
Times, very good. But not just 3, what else? Don't
the
forget
negative
the what?
one,
The
sorry.
sign. That's where people mess up. They forget that sign.
Yeah.
Times this side by -3. So these go away. That's just h. And it's positive, which is what I want. I want a positive h. But over here we have negative times a negative. What is that? Positive what? 3. Don't add those. Okay, some people add them and they get 4, but it should be what? Should be 3. So that answer there is positive 3. Okay, I see a lot of people on that one get -4, right? Because they're not timesing, they're what? Adding. You with me on that? Make sure you multiply, don't add there. Okay, that's kind of key. All right, which one are we on?
7.
7. I'll let you try this one too on your own, okay? So multiply both sides by what? 3. Do that work. And then what? After you multiply by 3, what are you gonna do to both sides?
Plus 3.
No, it's already plus. What do you gotta do? Get rid of plus.
Divide.
Minus.
Minus 3. So I'm gonna multiply by 3 first, both sides, then minus 3. So I have a negative 12 minus 3 more. Again, you're going in a negative direction even further. What's negative 12 minus 3 more? Where you at?
Negative 15.
Negative 15. Good job, Canyon. So that's the answer on which one?
7.
7. Okay, number 8. This is really easy. Danny, what should we do to both sides on number 8?
2 times.
Minus 2. Don't multiply.
You don't multiply.
No, don't multiply. Minus what? 2w, both sides. That gets rid of the 2w on the left. Minus 2w from 3w, what do you get? What's 3 minus 2?
1W.
Just a w equals what? The w is by itself, it's positive already. W equals what?
4.
Not positive,
Negative.
negative 4. See how they're gonna trick you? You've got to pay attention to your signs. And I might write that at the top of the page, top of my notes. Make sure of your signs. Okay, that's how you're gonna miss these, is you're gonna miss the sign. And you've got to pay attention to that sign. So don't leave signs off. Do the math. See, here's what I see kids do. It kind of pisses me off because I get mad. Let me show you a problem here. So let's say I got negative 3w plus 7 equals, let's say 13. Okay? So I see this happen all the time, and this is what I see kids do. Okay. 7, negative 3w equals 20, and then 3w is, I don't know, 6 and 2/3. Is that right? What did I do the whole time then? Wrong. What did I do wrong the whole time then? I didn't write any signs down as I was doing anything. Okay? So pay attention to the signs. Let's do it the right way this time. Sorry, oh, there's I was like, where's my eraser? So let's do it the right way this time. Make sure of your sign. Quit being so lazy. Is this much work? I mean, good heck, I just put 2 dashes there. It's not that much work. Do the right signs all the time. What do I get now? What's 13 minus 7? 13 minus 7 is?
6.
6. These are gone now. And I have negative 3w. Now what?
Negative 3 times.
It's negative 3 times w, but to get rid of timesing, I've got to divide. Now what do I get? 6 divided by negative 3 is? Positive divided by negative?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. See how many kids mess that up? They'll say, oh, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And they'll forget the what? Negative. You've got to really pay attention to your signs. I'm telling you, that's a huge mistake that's made a lot, is we just don't pay attention to signs. That's a good sample problem that I might want in my notes, because it'll help me as I do all the rest of them. Pay attention to signs. All right, so that's number 8. Flip it over. Number 9. Okay. First, we're going to combine like terms. So this is another one I'm going to do all the way through with you. Okay. So Gannon, combine the like terms on the left. What do I get?
12n.
Negative, right?
Yeah, negative 12.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Negative 12n. You gotta do the negatives, okay? Don't forget that. Negative 12n plus what? 3 equals negative n plus 5. Okay, Brian, what should I do to get all the n's on the same side? So focus on the variable here. Add what?
12 to each.
No, I can.
Add 3.
Okay, I'm gonna add 12, because he said it. Add 12 in. And I'm okay with that. It's okay. It'll all work out. Does it really matter whether you add 12 in or add n? It doesn't really matter. It'll all work out. Just as long as you're getting them all on what? One side. Start with the n's though, okay? And Brian especially, I'd have that in my notes if I was you. Always start with the variable. Don't look at just the numbers. Look at the variable. Okay, so I'm going to add 12 in. What's 12 minus 1? 12 minus 1 is?
Negative 11.
Nope, positive 12 minus 1 is positive 11. Again, those signs will throw you off, but remember what direction you're going. Positive 12, back 1. You're still at positive 11. You see what I mean? Think about the number line all the time. It helps. Now what? By the way, this 12n went away, right? So using this equation now, Dakota, what should I do next? Notice she looks at the variable and then pedals backwards. Get rid of addition and subtraction first, then get rid of the multiplication. Okay? So I'm going to minus 5 first. Negative 2 equals 11n. Then I should divide by what, Griffin? 11. I want to get the variable by itself. This is 11 times n. I want to divide by 11. Now I have negative 2 11ths equals n. Do I freak out because I have a fraction? No. No, don't freak out because you have a fraction. Some people do. Don't. Okay?
But
It's
how did
fine.
you get that? So is it negative 2 divided by 11? Or 11 divided by negative 2?
Right, negative 2 divided by 11. Okay, negative 2 divided by 11. It'll give you a decimal if you use a calculator.
Yeah.
Okay, but look at the answers. Are they decimals or fractions?
Fractions.
So don't change it to a decimal. Just leave your answer as the fraction it is. Okay? Leave it like that. I divided by 11, didn't I, Danny? Both sides?
Yeah.
That gave me this fraction. Could I punch that into my calculator?
Good.
Yes, but if I do, it'll give me a what? No.
Decimal.
What will your calculator turn fractions into? It'll give you a decimal. Do I want a decimal for an answer?
No.
Well, I could, but I prefer, and so by the way, on a test, this is me, because I'm too lazy. So when I make the key for the test, all my answers are gonna be what? Fractions. I'm not gonna take the time to turn it into a decimal. So when you take my test in my class, my preferred answers are always what? Fractions. And I'm also lazy enough to not turn them into mixed numbers. I want the answer to be an improper fraction, right? I want it to look like a fraction, even if the top number is bigger. I'm okay with that. See what I mean? I prefer fractions, mostly because I'm lazy. so I don't want to go through and try and change it to a decimal. I don't want to go through and try and change it to a mixed number. I'm going to put it exactly what I get when I get that variable by itself. Okay? Don't turn it into a decimal. That was a good question, though, Dan, is whether we should divide that or not. Okay, next one, number 11. Okay? Brielle, is that right? Brayley, dang it! I will get there someday.
Oh, I thought we were doing it again.
Okay, Brady, distribute the negative 4 for me on the left. What will I get? Be careful of the signs as you do it.
0, right? If you do negative 4, negative 4.
Okay, but we're not what?
Not adding.
We're not adding, we're what?
Subtracting.
We're multiplying. No, we're multiplying. Okay, when you distribute, everybody remember this